Athens, crown of Greece, the city of philosophers and warriors. But in 480 BC, its skyline was swallowed by fire. Temples crumbled, marble split, and smoke rose where democracy once thrived. It looked like a disaster, but behind the flames was a plan, crafted by one man bold enough to risk his own city, Themistocles. He let Athens burn, to set a trap that would change the fate of Greece forever. This is the story of how destruction became strategy, and how the gamble of one man saved an entire civilization. This isn't just about ruins and ashes. It's about a mind that saw war differently. Themistocles was no ordinary general. He was a strategist willing to stake Athens itself, believing the fire would blind Persia with overconfidence and drive them straight into his ambush. By the end of this story, you'll see why his name should be etched next to genius and nerve, and why every debate, every vote, and every idea we call Western civilization still echoes with the risk he took. So let's go back to 480 BC, when the largest invasion fleet the world had ever seen crept toward Greece, and Athens was preparing to do the unthinkable. Xerxes crosses the Hellespont on twin pontoon bridges wide enough for armies to march side by side. Ancient hype men claim 2 million troops. Modern historians trim it to maybe 200,000 land troops and 600 to 1,200 ships. Either way, that's more blades than all of Athens has citizens. Allied cities run the same grim math: stand and die, scatter and starve, kneel and still get skewered. Panic spreads faster than olive oil on a hot skillet. Delphi's oracle hisses, "Expect ruin." Sparta preps Thermopylae, but Athens has no mountain choke point, just open coast. If the Persians reach the city, marble meets torch. Everyone knows it. Enter Themistocles, dockside kid, not some blue blood. He grew up watching triremes unload grain and gossip, and figured power floats. It doesn't just grow olives. 10 years earlier, he bullied the assembly into pouring a silver mine jackpot into ships instead of festival handouts. Thanks to him, Athens owns 200 triremes, long, lean, bronze-beaked sharks. While other generals dream of shield walls, Themistocles dreams of cramped straits, where heavy hulls become bumper cars. He's the only guy willing to say out loud, "Our roofs are kindling, our keels are salvation." Selling that line to homesick farmers, that's the real battle. Persian cavalry kicks up dust in Boeotia. Refugees straggle in with blood-splattered sandals. The assembly meets on the Pnyx, voices quivering louder than the olive branches they're waving. Themistocles steps up. No poetry, just a punch in the gut. We stay, we die. We fight on land, we die. We hide behind walls, they burn, and we die. Or we trust the sea, empty the city, leave Xerxes a barbecue pit, and pick the battlefield. Try convincing your neighbors to abandon their homes and row into fog on one stubborn realist's say-so. It takes 3 shouting matches, but the decree passes. Every woman, kid, grandpa, onto anything that floats. Islanders promise shelter. Priests carry sacred objects so the city's spirit doesn't stay homeless. When the last oar bites water, only a token garrison remains on the Acropolis, still trusting the wooden walls of the temples. Spoiler: wood burns. Persian scouts wander silent streets, bread warm, wine cups half full. Xerxes nods, torches fly, columns glow, then buckle. Statues crack like chestnuts. From Salamis's beaches, refugees watch their rooftops become constellations of sparks. Some wail, others just stare. Themistocles lets them look, then murmurs, "The flames are bait, not surrender." Morale wobbles. One rumor of capitulation and the alliance shatters. So he scribbles a letter. hands it to a slave named Xerxes, who can do terrified better than a stage actor. Message: the Greeks are freaking out. They'll bolt tonight. Themistocles himself wants you to win. Block the straits at dawn and he'll swap sides. Xerxes, drunk on easy wins, swallows it whole. He parks fleets at both mouths of the Salamis channel, turning the sea into a lobster trap. Exactly the cage Themistocles ordered. Night peels into dawn. Greek rowers splash water on benches to keep them slick. Chew raw garlic for luck. Whisper to Poseidon. Across the narrows, enemy masts sprout like a floating forest. Aeschylus, yes, the playwright pulling oar duty, later swears the cliffs echoed Persian in 100 accents. Sun lifts, the trap snaps on the trappers. Their packed hulls jam, oars knot like cheap knitting. Greek triremes, heavier, sturdier, ram, reverse, ram again. By mid-morning, the strait's a cedar graveyard. Red foam sloshes against rocks. Xerxes watches from a golden throne carved into Mount Aigaleos, dispatching messengers who return paler each time. When the last Persian squadron limps off, Athens is avenged, not by rebuilding, but by ruining the fleet that lit the match. Tallies differ, but somewhere between 200 and 400 Persian hulls sink or are captured. The Greeks lose under 50. The king retreats to Sardis, never regains swagger. Word reaches the refugee camps. People weep again, this time from relief. Themistocles strides the tide line, tunic salt stiff, telling anyone who will listen, we paid with timber and tile. We bought tomorrow for all Greece. He's right. Next summer, Allied hoplites smashed the Persian land force at Plataea, but the hinge was the naval throwdown. Athens rises, builds long walls, bankrolls drama, philosophy, and eventually full-throated democracy, all because one guy treated his city like expendable hardware when the stakes were civilizational. Why did the con work? First, Themistocles read Xerxes' ego like a kid's comic scroll. The king wanted a flashy knockout. Empty streets insulted him, so he grabbed the torch without asking, then what? Second, mass evacuation glued Athens' bickering tribes together. Rich, poor, immigrant, farmer, everyone became either rower or refugee. No VIP section on a sinking trireme. Shared trauma forged a polis tough enough to fund radical reforms within a generation. Third, the smoldering Acropolis served as the world's most effective PowerPoint. Spartan hawks who'd rather wait saw Persian arrogance firsthand. Even cautious Corinth pledged every hull. Finally, by faking treason, Themistocles weaponized fake news centuries before the term existed. Lesson: in wars of ideas, perception is armor and timing is everything. Walk Piraeus today, and you'll spot trireme graffiti. The Navy's motto still quotes him. He who commands the sea commands all. Herodotus, the original history podcaster, spends scrolls on this campaign, so the tale never dies. Every summer troops stage Aeschylus's Percy, replaying the naval clash that drew the east-west line. More importantly, the victory keeps Cleisthenes' democratic experiment alive, hands Pericles a platform, buys Socrates a stoa to irritate people, and pays sculptors to carve ideal abs that still shape our notion of beauty. Western legal thought, scientific inquiry, open debate, they all trace roots back to a smoking Acropolis and a commander who refused to fold. What can we steal from a guy who gambled his own city? Strategy beats size when you pick the arena. Unity trumps comfort. Shared sacrifice multiplies morale. Information is a weapon. Feed the enemy a bedtime story they crave, and they'll tuck themselves in. Leadership sometimes means being the most hated guy in the room, until the scoreboard flips. Keep those in your pocket next time life asks for a brutal trade-off. Athens rose from ash to brilliance because Themistocles had the stomach to value tomorrow more than yesterday. He sacrificed brick, marble, and nostalgia, but saved the intellectual spark that still lights the modern world. Remember, winning doesn't always look like winning. Sometimes it looks like smoke on the horizon and boats fading into dusk. History vindicated him. May we show the same nerve when our own cities, real or metaphorical, demand a painful price for the greater good. Thanks for sailing through this one. If you want more stories where genius flips disaster into destiny, hit like, subscribe, and tell me below. Which historical gamble blows your mind? See you on the next voyage.